HBO's hit show Big Love, that you played Frank Harlow for 5 seasons, because what you brought to that character, I mean, anytime you came onto the screen, you basically tore it up between basically the fear in Bill Paxton and the rest of the cast eye, and you're one moment, you're the character that people love to hate. What do you think that you brought to the role that was just so authentic to you, and do you think it had to do with any research? Did you do any research of polygamists? Did you meet with any polygamists? Because it seems like it was a past life of yours that now you're making publicly private.
My grandfather Dern, George H. Dern, was the first non-Mormon governor of Utah from 1924 to 1932. Then Roosevelt put him in his cabinet, first cabinet as Secretary of War, and he came to Washington. So when I was born in '36, my grandfather died the same time I was born. So I never got to meet him. But he was very liberal toward Mormons because he had a credo that he told my dad. My dad always told me. He said, "You'll notice one thing about Mormons." That's what his father told him. And so I said to my dad, "What's that?" And this is before I did anything to do with Big Love or anything else. He said, "They can't look you in the eye." And I said, "And why is that?" "Because every goddamn one of them is up to something." And when you put them in a group together, they come just like this, and you can't touch them. And he said a wonderful thing. One of my godfathers was Adlai Stevenson, and he would say things every now and then. And one of the things that he said to me that really got my attention when I was very young, because he and my dad were law partners, and then he decided to become a governor and run for president, so he had to give up his law practice. And he always liked the fabric and people. And he came to see me when my second play was called Sweet Bird of Youth, which was a Tennessee Williams play that Kazan directed. It starred Paul Newman and Geraldine Page and Sidney Blackmer, who was an old movie star in the 30s, Silence actually, in the 30s and 40s and everything. And he came to see it, and after the play, we went to dinner, and he'd been at my dinner table maybe 12 times in my life growing up. One of the reasons I was sent to Choate was that I was obnoxious, they thought, and they didn't get me at all. Push my hands with my food with my hand to get it on your fork. You know how you do? You go to put the fork and you push the rice on the fork so you get it all in one bite. I had to wear gloves, white gloves, every night at dinner for 9 years. So I had to wash them. They had to be fresh every single night so I wouldn't push my food. I also had to raise my hand to be called on at the dinner table. There were 5 of us, a brother, a sister, and my mother and father. Well, when the and that's what I've tried to do my whole career, and that's what publicly private is. Don't give the people a performance that they've seen before. Don't show them everything else. I was the 10th cowboy on the right for 15 years. I know what that is. I did 9 movies before they even put my name on the screen. And so those are the kinds of things you remember. So I said, that what's the one thing I can do now at 75 years old, starting, that's different than what I did? Be honest, scene after scene after scene. And don't, when there's a call for a Guernsey or a call to put something in that's made my reputation like it is, like when I went